Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. This is going to be half a non-spoiler review, and then there'll be a section where I'll say they're spoilers, and please don't go on from there. And it's kind of hard to talk about this movie without spoiling it, because, most of it is spoilers, since no one knew anything before going in. So, I know a lot of people are doing spoiler-free reviews, but for me, even that, you're, spoiling things, because, I honestly didn't really know anything going in. If you want to watch this without having it ruined for you, I will not do that at the beginning, but I will have a warning afterwards. Yes, Star Wars is very much back. J.J. Abrams made a very accessible, very audience-friendly Star Wars movie, the kind of Star Wars movie that you'll be cheering for after it ends, and you'll have a great time with your friends going to see. But he also made probably the safest Star Wars movie. That probably could be expected since a major studio spent $4 billion to buy Star Wars. You'd expect their first Star Wars movie to be relatively safe, an easy hit, something that once you saw, you're like, oh, this is going to be huge, but not in that challenging, amazing way, more in that, it's probably going to be big, look at it. That's fine. I think it's kind of we just needed to get over the prequels, we just needed to have a very awesome Star Wars movie, and it succeeds in that. It succeeds in the thing that it just needs to be, but it doesn't bring Star Wars back to the original trilogy glory. Now, maybe I'm being a prick, and I should just kind of accept that this is an awesome Star Wars movie. But here's the thing about Star Wars movies that we probably all know. We see them a lot of times, and they're going to have to hold up to a lot of scrutiny and a lot of repeat viewings, as most people probably are going to see it multiple times. And this is not a film, I think, that will hold up to a lot of scrutiny or thought, because it's so Star Wars-y, so referential, so kind of derivative in some places. But it works in the moments of character. You're going to love Rey and Finn and Poe and Kylo Ren and all the new people. You're going to love seeing the old people. You're going to absolutely love BB-8. It's going to be an amazing theatrical experience. So on that basic surface level of liking Star Wars The Force Awakens Episode 7 totally blows it out of the water. And it does have a few surprises in there. It's going to make you jump back in your seat. It's going to amaze you. It's going to make you love going to the movies. But the one thing that the original trilogy did that I absolutely loved is everyone felt different and new, and felt like there was a new world with a billion different weird creatures on it and all these backstories and all this crazy stuff. Although this film does have a lot of that, it felt a little samey and it felt a little Star Wars-y. And I don't think I've seen a Star Wars film that wanted to be a Star Wars film as much as The Force Awakens, and that I think was a little disappointing. It's kind of J.J. Abrams' style, the style he brought to Star Trek, which he very much wanted to be Star Wars clearly, and that mode of direction works a lot better for Star Wars The Force Awakens, because J.J. Abrams is almost done where he made a Star Trek movie more like Star Wars. In this, he's made a Star Wars movie more like Star Wars from the prequels, and this has all the fun, the quips that you loved in the original trilogy, the action, the thrillingness, the surprises, all that's back, but it's not back as organically and theoretical as I probably would have been as shocked and amazed by. It feels too safe, and that's something I guess I should have expected. J.J. Abrams, just frankly, he's not a risky filmmaker. He's not a groundbreaking filmmaker. He's the guy who makes sequels and reboots. That's just kind of who he is. He's kind of more of a studio hired hand than probably most people would like to admit. I don't think when we're talking about filmmaking in this era we'll actually write about him. If you look deep inside yourself, you'll know it to be true. I think it kind of reflects his kind of filmmaking. I think the reason Kathleen Kennedy and Disney picked J.J. Abrams is he's really good at starting things. The first Star Trek was a lot of fun, but even in that, the best part was the first act. In all his TV series, usually the beginnings are a lot better than the ends, and it's kind of like how he is. He's really good at setting things up, and this was the best he's ever been at setting things up. This is probably his best movie. I think it's a lot better than all the prequels, but it doesn't touch the original trilogy. Not because they're sacred movies to me, which they are. It's more because I honestly don't think it's that good and groundbreaking as the original trilogy was, although it does recapture that fun and that magic, and honestly, that's really what you want. You'll be at ease and you'll be shocked and amazed, but it won't be as groundbreakingly shocked and amazed as it used to be. Alright, let's get into this. So this is the spoiler section. I'm going to preface that even if you're like, I don't care about spoilers, it's how it is and stuff, I think a lot of how this movie plays and the first experience of this movie is not knowing a bunch of spoilers, which I will get into because I think they're worth talking about and they're big moments, and I'm going to. Please don't don't watch the rest of this if you haven't seen The Force Awakens, because you want to have fun at the movies. It's a big, fun theatrical experience. Don't ruin it for yourself. So just stop the video, come back. But seriously, if you haven't seen The Force Awakens, just stop this. Poe Dameron, who's considered the best X-Wing pilot in the Resistance, has gone to the planet of Jakku to find a map to find Luke Skywalker, who vanished many years ago. The First Order, the new rebooted Empire, is looking for Luke Skywalker because the idea is once they kill Luke Skywalker, they will be able to take down the Republic and the Resistance. Poe Dameron, played by Oscar Isaacs, is trying to get this map. He is then attacked by the First Order, Kylo Ren, and a bunch of stormtroopers. They kidnap him, and fortunately though, Poe puts the part of the map into BB-8, his droid, and BB-8 runs away and gets away from the First Order, although Poe is kidnapped by the First Order, and then they decide to kill all the village where Poe was, and one of the stormtroopers, named Finn, played by John Boyega, decides he doesn't want to kill the villagers, and doesn't while everyone else guns them down, and realizes he doesn't want to be in the First Order. He helps Poe escape from a Star Destroyer and goes back to Jakku so they can find the plans, where Finn, although at first he thinks Poe is dead, but then he's not, which is like not really explained very well, but whatever. Finn runs into Rey, who's been stuck on Jakku for a long time, left there by her family, and she finds BB-8, and her and BB-8 become friends, and then Finn finds them both and knows that BB-8 has the plans and he wants to get them to the Resistance until the First Order comes and attacks Jakku. They try to get out of there, but eventually find the Millennium Falcon, fly off, find Han Solo, and with Han Solo and Chewbacca, go try to find the Resistance and hopefully find Luke Skywalker, and also take out this Star Killer base, which is like a big new, even worse, Death Star that they want to take out before it destroys entire systems. My biggest problem with this movie is how much it borrows from A New Hope. It's basically like a remix idea of the original Star Wars. Instead of a princess getting kidnapped, you have an X-Wing pilot. Instead of Han Solo being a smuggler, he's Poe Dameron. Instead of a farm boy on a desert planet wanting to leave, you have a girl who doesn't want to leave. Instead of having the naive kid hating the Empire, you have a naive kid working for the Empire. It's cute and it's nice and I get what he's doing, but it doesn't feel new and special. It just feels like something I've seen before. I like remixes and things like that, but it feels very much like what J.J. Abrams does, where he takes old ideas and he puts a twist on them, and it just felt boring and typical, and everything I feared when I heard George Lucas say, I think the fans will love it. I think fans will generally like this, and I think J.J. Abrams actually gets it to work for itself, even though I have misgivings about him just using New Hope and kind of doing a slight remix, reboot, remake of the original Star Wars. Was that entirely necessary? The one thing that J.J. Abrams is really good at is introducing new characters. When Star Trek came out, everyone was talking about how amazing Chris Pine was as Kirk, how great he cast it, and how well you understand those characters. More so than like, you know, it was a good plot or there was an amazing villain. And this is very much in that vein, and it kind of starts off Star Wars in a great way. You get who Daisy Ridley's Rey is. She's a great character. She does a great job in this movie. I mean, a lot of people saying A Star is Born. I'd never seen her in anything. Everyone else who was new I'd seen in stuff before, several times in fact, and Daisy Ridley was the most surprising, and I thought she was very, very good. She has very expressive eyes. I'm very excited to see the rest of her career. John Boyega is kind of nerdy and dorky in this. He's not really playing the role he played in Attack the Block, and I loved him in Attack the Block. This shows a lot more range. Obviously, this is like the second thing I think I've seen him in. I wasn't aware he had range, basically. He plays this so perfectly. He's very good. I really liked how dorky he was. It worked for the role. He was just perfect. Same with Oscar Isaacs as Poe Dameron. Oscar Isaacs is probably the only person who brings like, oh, that's Oscar Isaacs. It doesn't feel like John Boyega isn't playing someone I saw him play in Attack the Block, but Oscar Isaacs feels like the same guy in Inside Llewyn Davis and stuff, but it works perfectly. It's not inappropriate or anything. It worked very well, and he's very funny. You're gonna fall in love with him instantly. The first section, when you have all the new people, works so well. You're like on air while you're watching it. It's just amazing to see all these new people in this movie. And then you get to someone like Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, who does probably the best villain in the Star Wars universe we've seen since Darth Vader. I don't know if it's going to be as iconic, but he plays it so well. There's a vulnerability, there's an anger, there's a confusion. A lot of people said he's like kind of what Lucas wanted Anakin to be, and I actually agree with that, but I think it kind of works better because Anakin has to become Darth Vader. In a way, Adam Driver can play it as his own character. It's probably Adam Driver's best role. You love these characters just like in the old films. You love the original cast. You love seeing them get together and quip and joke around with one another and fight the Empire together. And you get all that from this movie. What Abrams does is he makes these films that are amazingly well done at kind of doing your thinking for you, but they're not too smart. Like, if you think about them later, you're like, I mean, that kind of doesn't exactly work. But then when you watch it again, you're like, yeah, but I had enough fun, so who cares? And I think most people will think that, and that's kind of what I thought with Star Trek, and that's kind of what I'm thinking with The Force Awakens also, is that when you're watching it, you're so in it, you're having such a great time. But then you get to the Starkiller base. I didn't read any spoilers going in, except I read about the Starkiller base, and I was instantly disappointed when they said, oh, it's like 17 times the Death Star. The Death Star in this doesn't really connect to the rest of the plot. It doesn't work as well. The whole thing with like Kylo Ren and Rey and Finn doesn't really connect with the Starkiller base. I don't know what J.J. Abrams' deal is with destroying worlds in movies, but is that like his thing? It's like super fucking weird. I think he killed more worlds in this. He's like the Galactus of blockbuster filmmakers. As much as I actually like the Death Star in Return of the Jedi, it was kind of lame when they did it 30 years ago. So doing it now is kind of like, guys, like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious? We're doing the Death Star again? It's like the Jurassic World syndrome. No, but we had to make this dinosaur because people weren't as interested. You didn't really need to make the Starkiller base. I don't understand. It didn't feel as thrilling. It didn't feel as momentous. It was a planet. There's a lot of things that J.J. Abrams goes like, not explaining. I don't know. It happened. And in some ways it works for it, particularly with all the backstory with Kylo Ren and Luke Skywalker, and it kind of gives it its own, like, how the original trilogy felt about the Clone Wars and stuff, and it's really all about the past and you not knowing that and discovering things throughout the trilogy. And clearly this trilogy is trying to do the same thing, which then gets into, should there be a between trilogy or a between couple movies that explains what happens in the 30 years between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy, which is then in that case confusing because how are you going to get all the original actors back to do that, and then are you going to have to recast them? But then of course would you use the young Han Solo to do that and recast Luke Skywalker and slowly do it so then you could have the story of Kylo Ren work, and so then this forever franchise could constantly keep going back and forth, going from prequel to sequel in a never-ending course of nonsense that will constantly make movies that will leave things out to have other movies answer and then have other movies answer those. As big of a quandrum as that plausibly is, and it feels like that's what they're doing, it did feel a little more natural and it felt a little more Star Wars and what we loved about the original films. That stuff worked for it, and I think a lot of what they're taking from New Hope I think worked very well for it. It's not a bad movie, not at all. It's a very entertaining, one of the best audience friendly movies I've seen all year, one of the best blockbusters I've seen all the year. On the entertaining, like I wanted to have fun level, this movie works so well. It's amazing. But I didn't like how overbearing they were, that the First Order was basically the Nazis. I mean, I get the Empire is like the Nazis. I get it. It was post-war, everything was the Nazis. It's cool. And you want to bring that back. Here's the thing, is that one section where Domhnall Gleeson's giving that speech where I was like, is he gonna break into fucking German? And then the stormtroopers do like the Heil Hitler salute. Too much. I got it. I got that they're the Nazis. Like, you didn't have to tell me that they're the Nazis. We get it. Too much. Like, you just, like, crossed the line. Like, this isn't a metaphor anymore. I actually don't think Domhnall Gleeson's part is very well written. I do think he's a good actor. Everyone else is a twist on an older character, pretty much. And he's just Peter Cushing from the original movie. And that's, like, it. You know, he's just young Peter Cushing. That's, like, kind of not enough of a twist in its own theory. So his character isn't as interesting. I could understand if you don't remember I don't remember, what's his character's name? The Starkiller plotline just kind of feels like you can disregard it. You're more interested in the soap opera and the personal relationships, and it feels like the one thing it didn't understand that the original New Hope did is how to get that all like the old serial way. I think that's one of J.J. Abrams' biggest problems, is that if you're going to reference a filmmaker who who was postmodern, you kind of have to understand what he was doing with those influences. It kind of reminds me of a movie I saw last year, The Guest. It was referencing John Carpenter quite a bit, but I understood that John Carpenter was theoretically making westerns. That's what he always said. He was always making westerns. And it was very much like a western movie. And J.J. Abrams is like, hey, Star Wars. He's not going Akira Kurosawa, John Ford, old movie serials. He's just going George Lucas. That's probably the problem with Super 8 as well, is like he doesn't think about what influences Spielberg. Oh, David Lean, Norman Rockwell, John Ford. John Ford's a big one for those guys. And like he doesn't look at that. He just looks at them and uses them as an influence, like Spielberg was using John Ford. The thing is Spielberg kind of knew what influenced John Ford. So you're not doing it right, basically. He kind of does it wrong in the right way, but he doesn't have a theory behind it that's strong enough. There's been several successful reboots of franchises you never thought would have reboots this year. Mad Max kind of doesn't work for this movie because you have the original filmmaker involved, even though I think Mad Max is amazing. But one film that really does and brought its theory back and used a theory of the franchise and their love of the franchise was Creed. And Creed does it on a theory level. And the thing with movies is, I understand movies are about business and stuff, but sequels work best if you have a good enough theory to get it to work. And this like does, and it kind of like doesn't, but it kind of is entertaining enough. It's not going to bother you, but it's not the home run that Creed was. Creed understood what kind of movie the original Rocky was and how to update it to a new generation and use that theory to make a character like Adonis Creed, who is very much different. These characters they're kind of their own characters, but like Poe Dameron is Han Solo, Finn is Luke, Rey is Leia, like BB-8 is R2-D2. They didn't twist it in enough of a way that it feels like wholly original. It's not the home run Creed was. I think Creed, in terms of direction, is a hell of a lot more smarter than Star Wars The Force Awakens is. It's a good comparison because it's someone who took the mythos and the ideas behind a franchise and brought it to a new generation in a way that felt organic to the theories behind that franchise. We need to think about that when we continue these franchises which have become the new cultural myths and how we're going to get those theories to work. And I understand they're just going to extend them no matter what, but they work best when you get the theories behind them to work. The thing about the original trilogy is everyone was so different. And the reason Jedi is the weakest one is because Jedi is harkening back to the first one and has a Death Star. And this one kind of didn't get the reason people don't like Jedi. But the reason I like Jedi is it's a hell of an entertaining film. It's a very well made film. It's a fun movie to watch with an audience. And I think a lot of people, maybe in January, will be complaining about how much like New Hope it is. I just really wish it hadn't been, but I love what it does with it. Now, the Kylo Ren reveal actually shocked me. I thought one of them was going to be related. I didn't think it was going to be Kylo Ren. I really didn't read a lot of spoilers. I really tried to stay away. But I was shocked that Kylo Ren was Han and Leia's son. And then I guess everyone kind of had been spoiled that Han was going to die. That was more emotional than I thought it would be. I didn't cry, but I really shot my seat back and was like this with my hand on my mouth for a good 5 minutes. Like I couldn't accept it for a while. It's just like watching Han Solo die was like not something it was rough. It was very emotional. I think it makes sense because Harrison Ford said he wanted Han Solo killed off in Return of the Jedi. And of course, if he was going to come back, I kind of always thought that he was probably going to die. Yeah, it was emotional. It's hard to see one of your childhood heroes get a lightsaber to the fucking chest. Like, Jesus. That was probably the most shocked I've been in a movie in a long time. There was no way that can't be shocking. One of the things I don't think J.J. Abrams' style works for is slowing down and giving you a moment to, like, breathe. And after Han Solo died, I was like, I kind of need a moment, JJ, like chill the fuck out. And he just doesn't. Now, granted, when Obi-Wan Kenobi died, he didn't give you a moment then either when Lucas did the original, but I kind of needed more of a moment and he just kind of moves on. And I don't think I remember a lot of the scenes after that. I knew like Chewie shooting him. I mean, I'm sure there's something I blanked because I was a little shocked. I was probably in shock. I did like how Han Solo is basically the Obi-Wan character. Again, twisting the New Hope thing. It was a good way to say goodbye to Han Solo, and he actually kind of gave a shit during this performance. I like this movie. Am I going to buy it on Blu-ray? Yes. Am I going to enjoy it? Sure. I hold it above the prequels. Abrams works a lot better with someone like Lawrence Kasdan than he does with Lindelof and Orky and all those people. It shows when he has a better screenwriter working with him that he's a much better director, and that clearly was one of his biggest problems. But it does feel like he moves this film too fast sometimes. Like he's leaving out huge gaps of logic to keep an amazing pace of a movie. I don't know if that's worth risking for the story, but it's an amazing experience. And that's probably what honestly they want. I did like seeing Iko Uwasa's little cameo. It's a fun, good Star Wars movie, and that's what we wanted. We wanted people to love Star Wars again. We wanted mainstream people to love Star Wars again. This is the film that will bring it back. This will get people to care about a new generation. It'll get kids who loved the original trilogy to like it again. It'll get you enthused about Star Wars. And I guess at the very surface level, it does its job. It's not saying anything more than that. It's not referencing anything more than that. It's not doing anything more than that theory-wise. And that's, frankly, a little more boring than you expect from Star Wars. But I guess what everyone's thinking is, well, fuck, it's not as bad as the prequels. So that's kind of cool, right? And I guess we should all live with that and be happy with that. And as much as this film sets you up to see a whole bunch of new movies, I don't want this to happen next time. I expect a little bit more next time. I accept it this time. I'm fine with it this time. I'll be fine with it, even though I'm seeing this a lot more times with a lot more people with tickets I've already bought. I accepted it for this film, but I don't want the next one to be Empire heavy. I want this to move on. Although this film does reference Empire and Jedi, I want these films to continue and to evolve in the way Star Wars films really should have. And in a way, it feels like this just evolves in the way that it brought it back, but it doesn't evolve it in a theory way, really. It was cool seeing Luke at the end. I guess this is the Han movie, maybe the next one's the Luke movie. It's weird that you have the one actor who's famous for being a voice actor not say a word in a movie. This film was everything you wanted from a Star Wars film except for the theory, and most people don't care about that, so I'm sure it works. It just feels a little derivative, but derivative in that fun Hollywood way. As much as I feel like we're 2 steps forward, I feel like we're still 1 step back in terms of Star Wars. So if you've seen Star Wars: The Force Awakens and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to. And if you're gonna comment and you want to talk about spoilers, just do a lot of spaces and put spoilers and be respectful, because people don't want to know some shit, you know? Anyway, thanks for watching.